Hey guys, welcome back. In this channel, we make programming easy, and in today's video, we will learn about string slicing in Python. What is string slicing in Python? String slicing allows you to extract a specific part of a string. So for example, if we have a string saying, "I love pizza," we can use string slicing to only extract the word pizza. There are two ways to slice a string. The first way is indexing, and the second way is to use the slice function. Wait, before learning about string slicing, we must first know something about the index of each character in a string. The index is the place a character is. You might think that the index of the first character in a string is 1 and then 2, 3, and so on. But that's wrong. Computers always start with the number 0. So the index of the first character in a string is always 0. The second character is 1. The third character is 2, and so on. With that in mind, we can start learning about indexing. When we use indexing, we are basically setting a range of text we will be extracting from the main text. The first argument is the start argument. It is inclusive. This argument sets where we start out slicing. The second argument is the stop argument. It is exclusive. This argument sets where we end our slicing. The last argument is the step argument. This argument sets the interval of character we will go by. We will learn more about it later on in the video. To use indexing, first make sure to have your main text that you will be extracting from. Then on the next line, we will slice our text. I will assign our value to a variable of first name to keep things easy, but it's not necessary. To slice using indexing, first write the main string or its variable. Then, write a set of straight brackets without any spacing. Inside the brackets, first write your starting index. The starting index of 0 is j. Then please make sure to write colon. It will not work without it. After the colon, write your ending index. The ending index of 4 is space. Here's an easier way to understand slicing. For teaching purposes, I would be using this red line as our slicer or knife. When we set the starting index to 0, we start before j or index 0. We make a cut before the head with our knife to separate the head of text from previous characters. If the starting index is 1, our head is index 1, and we cut just before the head with our knife. When we set the stopping index to 4, we also stop before the actual index. So we make a cut after index 3 before index 4. The reason why the start argument is inclusive is because it starts before the start index, so it automatically includes the starting index. The reason why the stop argument is exclusive is because it also stops before the stop index. So the stop index never gets the chance to join the gang and gets excluded. So the start argument starts before the index and the stop argument also ends before the index. There is also the step argument. It is the last argument, and it sets the interval your extracted text goes by. This is used to skip certain indexes in a pattern over and over again. By default, the interval is 1, meaning no character is skipped. The extraction goes from 1 to 1 index. But if we set the interval to 2, the first character will be extracted, the second one will be ignored. The third character will be extracted, the fourth will be ignored, and so on, over and over again in a pattern. Here is what the default interval of 1 will look like on the console. We can see all the letters in John, and here is what the interval of 2 will look like on the console. We can see that some characters are missing, the second and the fourth. You should also know some shortcuts. Imagine you have a piece of string. You want to start at a certain index and keep going until the main string ends. Instead of finding the index of the last string, you can just leave the space blank. Python will automatically assume that your stop index is the end of the main text. Similarly, when setting our starting index to 0, we can also just leave the space blank. Python will assume that a blank starting index must mean index 0. Imagine we have a link. We are trying to see whether the link ends with .com or .org. We can use string slicing, but the only problem is the fact that finding the index of our dot can be tricky, as link sizes are always different, and some links can be extremely long. As optimal programmers, we need to come up with a better way to write our code. That's where negative indexes come in. In a string, every character has a positive index and also a negative index. Negative index starts at the end of the string. Unlike the positive index, which starts with a 0, the negative index starts with a -1, then -2, 3, and so on to the left. Here, the letter S has a positive index of 5 and a negative index of -5. As usual, we start before our starting index and end when the main text ends. Back to our code. Counting the index from front may be difficult, but counting the index backwards is way easier. We can also set reverse intervals. This will reverse the order of our text. For fun, if we execute this code with the interval of -1, it will display backwards on the console. If we set the interval to a -2, the string is backwards and missing some characters. We are finally done with indexing. Let's talk about the slicing function. What are slice functions? Slice functions are like indexing, but they are a function. It also accepts the start, stop, and step argument. We can make an object and store our slicing details, allowing us to reuse it. With a slice object, if we are dealing with similar strings, we can store and reuse the same slicing instructions. But without it, we might need to rewrite it twice. To make a slice object, first, write your object or variable. Then, write slice all lowercase with a set of parentheses. Inside the parentheses, write your start, stop, and step like in indexing. To use the slice object, first, write the object you want to slice, and then write a set of straight brackets as if you are indexing. Inside the brackets, write your slice object and done. This lets you reuse the same instructions over and over again without any rewriting them. That's it for today's video. I know it's a long one. Please like and subscribe. These videos take hours to make, and thanks for watching.